Hi, this is Wendy from Knitters Brewing, and I'm going to demonstrate a little bit for you about backwards knitting. So what is it and when would you use it? We all know that when you work on stockinette, the front appears to be knit stitches and the back appears to be purl stitches. And if you're working on a flat project back and forth, you knit going across with the right side facing, and then you turn, and with the wrong side facing you purl your way back, always having to flip. But what if you didn't have to flip? What if you could knit going across and then knit going backwards with the right side still facing you? You would get the same stockinette look to it. It just involves doing your stitches a little bit differently, or backwards, as the name implies. So times that are great for doing this are times when you've got short rows like we do here. We're going back and forth to create these V's that we have in this pattern, so it's a lot of flipping. So what we want to do is minimize all that flipping and go back and forth with the right side facing instead. Entrelac is another great example of a time when you would want to use this technique. Or let's just say you're someone who does not like to purl. Maybe you just teach yourself to knit backwards, and then when you're doing things like shawls that have lace designs on the right side rows and then purl back rows on the wrong side, instead of having to purl back, you could knit backwards all the way across the wrong side rows of your shawl. So those are just some examples of when you would use it. Now, I'll tell you right now, it's going to feel funny. Like every other aspect of knitting, it's all about muscle memory. So this isn't going to be something that you've done before, and it will take some time for you to figure out the best, movements that work for you. And I will demonstrate it both in using throwing and continental techniques. They both have, to me, pros and cons to them. So anyway, with this particular pattern, we start by knitting 6. So that I will just do in my regular throwing method. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the pattern says to turn the work, slip 1, purl 3. So what we're going to do is not turn the work. Then we're going to slip 1, and instead of purling 3, we're going to knit 3 backwards. So first, don't turn the work. Check. Now, slip 1. We want to slip it with the yarn in the back, so just insert the needle through the stitch and slip it over to the other side. Now it already starts to feel funny because your active stitch is on the left-hand needle. It's just something you have to get used to. Now we're going to knit 3 backwards. So insert the stitch or the needle through the stitch. Oops, sorry, I'm at a funny angle when I do this. All right, to the back. I find it helps to kind of pull these apart a little bit. Now you wrap around the top of the needle, and you're going to pull this stitch through that loop. I find it's easiest to do if I hold my yarn down a little bit and bring the loop up and over. So there's 1. Okay. We insert, wrap, and pull it through. I'm trying to get the best angle here. Insert through to the back, wrap over the top, and pull it through. Oh, darn it. Try that again. Sorry. Insert, wrap, and pull it through. Okay. Now our instructions tell us to slip 1 and knit 4. So slip 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the instructions tell us to turn the work, slip 1, purl 5. So what we're going to do is not turn the work, slip 1, and knit 5 backwards. So not turn, slip, the yarn in back. Now knit, insert it through to the back, wrap the yarn over the top, and pull the stitch through. Now you can see sometimes, and it's because I'm going slow here, it makes it a little harder for me. It is helpful to use this finger to kind of hold your thread down as you're pulling the loop over. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. So you might find, definitely at the beginning, this goes a little bit slower for you, but it kind of beats having to flip it back and forth. 3. This row that I'm doing now was a right side row, and it was slip 1 case 6. So I've just done that. Now our instructions say turn, slip 1, purl 7. So we are going to not turn, slip 1, and then knit 7 backwards. Missed that one. I can't get away with anything on videos. Well, all right, it just doesn't want to happen. And the last one is over here. All right. Now I'm going to show you how to do the backwards knitting technique using the continental style, and this would be where you're holding your yarn in your left hand. The benefit here is that because your yarn's anchored over here, when you're pulling the new loop through the old one, it seems to be a little easier than when you're throwing, but the wrapping is a bit more awkward. So you know, there's pros and cons to both ways. It's just whatever you're most comfortable with, you know, like every other aspect of knitting. So the instructions for what I'm going to do say turn the work so that the wrong side is facing, slip 1, and purl 5. So what I'm going to do is not turn the work. I'm going to keep the right side facing. I'm going to slip 1, and then I'm going to knit 5 backwards. So we insert through to the back. Now we need to wrap it over the top of the needle, and that's just what's a little more awkward to me this way, but it is easier to pull the new stitch through. Okay, so that was 1, wrap and over, 2, wrap and over, 3. So it's all just about trying it a few times, because it's going to feel awful the first time. Everything does when you're knitting. It feels uncomfortably new. And then practice it a little bit, and you might find that this does add some efficiency to those projects where you have to go back and forth over small spaces.